this afternoon. I am talking to Jeff Cohen from Seller Labs. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ed. It's great to see you. I feel like it's been a whole week.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And first of all, there's been a lot of events lately all over the place. And I think the last few I've been at was smashing success. So first of all, what are your thoughts about the ASGTG event?
Yeah, you threw a first class event. I gotta applaud the host since I have you and have your attention. I think you've tried to describe that event to me in the past. You've tried to, tell me how important it is to come and be there. The thirst of knowledge of the sellers that are there is really unbelievable. It's first class from the minute you walk in, the food that you serve, the content that's presented. I really enjoyed interacting with a lot of the people that were there. The quality of the sellers and the quality of the conversations were nonstop. I had to keep a bottle of water in my back pocket because everybody just wanted to keep talking about more and more things. So it's great to see. I think it's great to see just in general the thriving community that we have as Amazon sellers and how we really all enjoy spending time with one another and learning from one another.
Would you say Brooklyn is the hub of Amazon sellers?
Well, I think that was the statistic that was shown, right? I know you tried to dive into that afterwards, but I mean, there's definitely something. There's not many places you can hold an event, get 500-600 people in the room, and have 450 to 500 of them all be from within a couple mile radius, right? Like that was crazy. I was actually probably surprised by the number of people that came in from out of town for your event, but it still was like 75% of people who were all from the Brooklyn, New York area. So it's clear that Brooklyn and New York have a very strong presence with Amazon sellers.
Okay, right. So thank you very much. And again, thank you for speaking. I got tremendously great feedback and I really appreciate it. Prosper, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, Prosper is definitely a different type of show, right? I think the number I read was there were 1,900 sellers at Prosper. I've been following Prosper since year one, where they had, I think, just over 500 people. So imagine your event times 4, right? The quality of the speakers, the quality of the participants, the quality of the conversations. Prosper is just a nonstop 2-day whirlwind. I literally lost my voice. I talked to so many people. My team has to get there at 7:30 in the morning. They don't leave till 8 o'clock at night. They're busy the whole time that they're there. It's great because the industry really hasn't had kind of a single show for sellers to go to engage and interact with other Amazon sellers. So I think your event, I think Prosper, and even the FBA Boost event that Amazon has been throwing are probably turning out to be the 3 main Amazon events for sellers to attend.
Wow. How about your own? So is it already sold out? Did I see that email correctly?
Yeah, I mean, the Seller Labs event is a little bit different because there's so many events in the space that when we created our event, we wanted to create something a little bit different. So we are sold out for 2018, but we only sell 150 tickets. So we sold out 2 months before, which was a shock to us. Last year, we were selling tickets up to about 2 days before. It just goes to show, I think we've built a really good quality event. We bring in high quality speakers. The way we describe our show is that a lot of shows, their content ends here. We start here and we go up. So we really take our content to a next level. We also wrap a lot of really good events around our show. So we include a cocktail party the night before. We include a full dinner, open bar the first night of the show. And we've been known to hit a baseball game or so on the second night if you happen to stick around. So we really kind of pack the whole 2-day event with activities for sellers. So what it does is it gives you kind of the day where you can focus on the content, because we deliver such high level content, and then the activities where you can focus on the networking. And because of the size of the event, and we've had a lot of people tell us that they don't want the event to get much bigger. Because of the size of the event, you really get a chance to meet and talk to and interact with almost everyone that's there.
All right, so I was about to ask you, why don't you just make it bigger? So I guess that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We're growing it every year by 25, and making sure that it fits within the culture and the type of event that we want to have. And if that continues to work, then we'll keep growing it. If it doesn't continue to work, we won't. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is to deliver a good quality event, not necessarily make profit or sell several hundred tickets.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then good things happen after that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into a little bit reviews, because I know there's been a lot of changes. What can a seller ask a buyer to do in regards to feedback?
So let's clear one thing up. There haven't been any changes. I think there was some conversation, some rumblings in the industry that change was coming, that changes have been made, but since really about October or September of 2017, no change has occurred. What we are starting to see is that Amazon is enforcing the policies that they've always stated. And so the easiest way to describe this is the speed limit on the highway has always been 65 miles an hour. But that doesn't mean that everybody was driving 65 miles an hour. And when you're driving down the highway and you're going 80 and you know the speed limit 65 and you see a police officer, what do? You take your foot off the gas, right? But if you know that there's no police officer, you might actually go 90. If police know that a lot of people speed in a certain area, what do? They put more cops on the street. So that's exactly what we believe is happening, is that the policies from Amazon are there. They're clearly written, and we can definitely go through those. Amazon's just putting some more police on the street. They're starting to police their policies, because what sellers are doing is abusing the email system, and they're creating a bad customer experience. And the one way to get Amazon's attention is to create a bad customer experience. And as sellers kind of push the boundaries of what they should be doing, that kind of forces Amazon's hand, for lack of a better term, to do stricter enforcement of the policies that they have written. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does make sense. I've seen enforcement on conditional language.
Yeah, so there's definitely enforcement on conditional language, right? So we call that if-then language. So listen, I was guilty of this. We used to tell people that you could write emails and say, if you had a positive experience, leave a review. If you have a problem, contact customer support. We've changed our tune. We believe that from a best practice perspective, that you cannot give any indication as to which way a customer should leave a review. You can't give any conditional language. You can't use terminology like, if this was good, do this. If this was bad, do this. That's always technically been against terms of service. I think Amazon is cracking down on that harder today than they were before. And therefore, as we see that change, we need to change our practices to make sure that we're staying in the right side of doing things, not the wrong.
Right. So what changed? You said something changed 6 months ago. What was that?
Yeah, so really about 6 months ago, that's when we started to see Amazon crack down on conditional language. The other thing that we've seen Amazon crack down on even harder is customers who were using suggestive reviews. So that's where you write in your email and you say, here's an example of a 5-star review. So you can't actually provide suggestive reviews to people. They want their own words. The other thing we've seen Amazon crack down on is the use of external links. So Amazon's actually cracked down on this probably 2 or 3 different ways over the last year. Most recently, Amazon started breaking all external links. So anything that's an external link, a link that is not going to an Amazon page, now pops up a warning on Amazon or on the user's site, telling them that they're leaving Amazon and they're going somewhere, and that Amazon can't necessarily trust where that link is going. So Amazon has always had in their terms of service that you cannot externally link your traffic to your own website. Technically, you're not supposed to even include a logo that has your URL in it. So the biggest thing that sellers have to understand, and I get in this debate with sellers all the time, is that these are Amazon's customers, and anything that you're doing to divert that customer to your own site or to try to get that customer to be your customer and not Amazon's is probably a violation of terms of service. And so you need to be watching what you're doing. You need to be very careful of it, and you need to make sure that you're following best practices and you're making for a positive user experience.
Right. Now, external links, I think they define, I mean, I know an external link is sending them to your website, but I think even sending the buyer to another Amazon listing, which you own, is an external link. Is that correct?
So I haven't seen those links be broken, but technically within Amazon's terms of service, they state that that emails should not be for promotional or marketing purposes. Therefore, the purpose of your email should not be to get somebody to buy something else that you have. The purpose of your email should be to extend the customer experience on the product that they bought, to provide them an avenue for communicating customer service, or to ask them politely in a neutral manner for a product review. So anything else that you're doing besides those three things is probably violating terms of service.
I think the percentage of transactions that end up with a seller feedback, I mean, just from the last 2 years, it's probably like 2%.
So I don't know an actual percentage. We still have sellers who are getting double-digit feedback or double-digit product reviews. What you're probably referring to is more about the number of emails that are getting through have decreased, right? Because Amazon, essentially what happened was in May of last year, it's always hard for me to remember everything chronologically. In May of last year, Amazon started allowing sellers to opt out of buyer messages. Sorry, I got that backwards. They started letting buyers opt out of seller messages. And a lot of sellers started freaking out and saying like, oh, I can't message my customers anymore. This has always been the case for e-commerce websites since early 2000, when the canned spam laws were put into place. If you own a retail website, you have to give your users the ability to opt out of promotional and marketing messages, right? You have the right to still send them transactional messages, but not marketing and promotional messages. For some reason, Amazon never gave that right to their users until very recently. So until, May of last year, there was no way for a buyer to opt out of seller messaging. And so that created a bad customer experience. So what you've seen over the last year, almost year now, has been sellers having to deal with this change of buyers opting out of their message. But the truth of the matter is, if those buyers don't want your message, what are the odds they're going to leave you a review anyway?
Right.
You were just annoying them. So you don't want to message them anyway.
Right. But I'm saying, like, if you take the fact that a smaller percentage of buyers are getting emails, and then on top of that, you can't do conditional language, and on top of that, you can't give them the review. And on top of that, you're dealing with, already it was down in the past couple of years. Like years ago, we used to have, I think 10%. I think Feedback 5 told me originally it was like 10, 15%. And now, like, I think 5% was considered good. It's probably halved again.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, you can sit here. That's the new normal, right? We talk about that. We talk about that a lot, and we can talk about the way it used to be and how it used to be easier and how we used to be able to do this and how we used to be able to do that. But Amazon is a changing marketplace. And as sellers, we have to continue to change as that marketplace evolves and as that marketplace changes. And the truth of the matter is that this just means that the people who put the time and energy in to do it right are going to see better results. And the results that you see are going to be worth more than they were before. So it all becomes a mathematical algorithm. If you're getting less reviews than your your competitor is getting less reviews, and therefore the value of each review has gone up significantly because of that.
Right, exactly. Well said. Anything else on the horizon sellers should be looking out for, what you've seen?
I mean, I think, sellers should probably be watching the number of emails that they send. It's probably the part of the Amazon language that I think is still a little bit vague. There's different ways to interpret the language. Amazon has language that says you should not send any messages to your customers. And then they have additional language that says it's okay to send a message to your customer and ask for a product review or ask for a seller feedback. So that's a lot of the language that we believe tells you that it's okay for you to actually send messages and ask for feedback and ask for product reviews. What the language does not say is that you have the right to send your customer as many emails as you want and bother the crap out of them and hope they give you a review. And so think about what you're doing and think about whether that is enhancing a customer experience or whether that is making for a poor experience. Let me give you an example. I ordered some Firefly lights for my kid the other day. These little tiny lights that, they hang their pictures from them. It was a $10 product. I got 5 emails from that guy. 5 emails. Do I need to get 5 emails from some guy asking me to review his Firefly lights? Probably not. So, what should you be doing? Figure out how to get your message down to 1. If you really need to send more than 1 message, understand that you should have some type of justification in doing so, right? Like, if you sell Firefly lights, there's only so many reasons you need to communicate with somebody. If you're selling something that's more complicated, if you're selling something that requires additional setup or something like that, then maybe there's an opportunity to actually go into it and send 2 emails. But come on, there's no reason to send 3, 4, 5 emails to a customer asking them for feedback.
Right. Rachel Gray was saying that today on Facebook. Everything, and it's hard to always have it in mind. Everything has to always come looking at it from the buyer's perspective.
Yeah, it's hard. We get into conversations when we're all talking with each other, and we always talk about, well, Amazon did this and it hurts me this way, and Amazon did that and it hurts me that way. But the thing that we have to remember is that what Amazon cares about is the buyer and the buyer experience. And Amazon has this terminology inside Amazon called voice of the customer. And that's what they're really in. Like, if you can't speak to your problem based on the voice of the customer, the buyer, then you don't really have a problem. Because, we've talked about this before. Is Amazon your friend? Is Amazon your enemy? And, we all agree it's kind of like your frenemy, right?
Right.
But the truth is that Amazon can be your friend if you and Amazon have aligned goals. And so if what you're trying to do is circumvent their rules for the types of products that you can buy or the number of emails that you can send or the way you can market and promote or who owns the customer, then you're not aligned with Amazon's goals and you're going to eventually get yourself in trouble. If you're building your brand with a long game in mind, if you're building your brand to better the customer experience, then as your brand gets built, those customers are going to come off of Amazon and they're going to come find you, and they're going to engage with you on your Facebook page, on your Twitter feed, in your Instagram, and then they may or may not buy from you. Amazon shoppers are very loyal to Amazon. And so if we make it our goal as sellers to try to get all of the customers away from Amazon, we're not going to win. And our goals aren't aligned with the marketplace that we're trying to live within. So if we can align our goals with that marketplace and we understand what Amazon's trying to do and what we're trying to do, then when it comes down to it, you're never going to have to call Ed and ask him for help for a suspension. You're never going to have to deal with whether you're in the gray on something, because you're just going to be building a good brand and a good business.
I think a little bit, it's like the spirit of the law too. It's not just like, I hate when people are saying, am I allowed to do A, B, C, D? And they think that there's some kind of rule book, which only I have access to.
Right.
No one has that. Amazon themselves don't know, but they want.
Well, the truth of the the truth of the matter is there's no such thing as 100% compliant, right?
Right.
So companies like ours try to make our best guess at what compliance means and what best practices are, right? That's why I'll never share anything with you that I believe will get you in trouble. Now, there's things I might have said 6 months ago or 12 months ago that I don't believe in anymore because I've learned new information or the market's changed or Amazon has redefined something. And so that's why you have to stay up on the latest and best practices of what's going on. It's not because you or I want to mislead somebody and teach somebody a bad way of doing it. It's that a lot of Amazon's rules are open for interpretation. They're written in a very loose manner, and or they're written in a very, not loose, they're written in a very conservative manner, meaning that they can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. And so what happens is a lot of sellers get into a conversation and you can split a hair any which way that you want. And you can convince yourself that you're on the right side and that Amazon's wrong. But if you're trying to argue that Amazon's wrong just because you want to be right, then you're probably not right.
Right, exactly. Right, I think that's what it is. I think, but with the conditional links, getting back to that, like that was like a gray area, which people got in trouble for.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, a lot of people were using emails to do promotions and to promote other products. And so you can have a link to your storefront, but you cannot have a line that says, go buy more products from me. Here's a coupon for 15% off, right? So if you were using your emails to try to get one purchase to lead to another, then you were violating Amazon's terms of service. Maybe it wasn't fully defined, or maybe it wasn't being enforced. Maybe there weren't police on that stretch of the road, but interpret, this is the way we do it. I like to say to myself, WWJD, right? What would Jeff do? If you have to go into a room and you have to sit in front of Jeff Bezos and you have to justify your business to him, can you honestly say to him that what you're doing is in the best interest of the customer, not yourself? And if you honestly believe that what you're offering is in the best interest of the customer, you're probably not violating Amazon's rules. But make sure you're not lying to yourself, because I think that's where we get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, not just with Amazon, with everything in life.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff Cohen, that was always a pleasure. Thank you very much. And again, thank you so much for coming to the show. You gave a fantastic speech, and we're looking forward to do more of these.
Awesome. Take care. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Bye.